for tuning into today's episode on Supernova Podcast. Today we are talking about sound therapy and what it is, how we utilize it for our highest good, and how we can benefit from its healing properties, capabilities, and how it can also be pretty dangerous if used incorrectly. All right, so there are 6 different states of the mind. Like if you think of the sleep cycle, what your brain goes through in order to get to sleep and then wake up again, it goes basically like a roller coaster. You go up to the peak and then you come down, and then you keep doing that throughout your night cycle. So that's why it seems like you can have multiple dreams at one night, because you're going through different cycles of consciousness in a sense. And why does it matter where the brain is at when sound is introduced? Because our brain's ability to understand and perceive sound will affect how effective something can be. So, for example, many years ago, it was common to listen to things overnight, just encourage yourself to learn things by listening. Basically, hypnosis. Hypnosis was a major wave back in the 80s and 90s. And everyone kind of just wanted to take the shortcut and just listen to something and then all of a sudden have this crazy amount of knowledge the next day, right? So, how they achieve that is by recording something and playing it on a loop. And so as you were in certain different states, you would be able to absorb that information. Your ego was no longer in the way, and the information could be absorbed right into your brain. So what could go wrong with that? The brain is only in a suggestive state for a certain amount of time. So you'll get information, but it'll only be as you're going through the up and downs of that cycle. So for example, if you're at the top of the roller coaster and that's where you're most susceptible, you're probably only going to be there for 5 to 10 minutes. So you're only getting 5 to 10 minutes of information 2 to 3 times a night. That information is new. It's not necessarily things that you knew before going to sleep. However, that's only 15 minutes worth of information versus 8 hours that you're thinking you're going to get. So you have the ability to introduce certain sounds to keep the mind within a certain state. So you're never fully asleep, or you're never fully awake. You're just in the in-between stage. So the first phase is gamma. Gamma is our awareness. It's our actual state that we're in our normal everyday life. And then beta is when we're still present with our day-to-day activities. However, we're in problem-solving mode. So it's like when we sit down to do homework, the status that we're in when we are paying bills or doing something that requires our focus, working, doing things where our brain is actively firing on all cylinders, right? So once we are in the alpha state, we become relaxed and suggestive. This is the state in which regression experts or specialists or people who are regression practitioners will begin to suggest that you relax, or suggest that you do things to get you to a more comfortable, suggestible, ego-ridden state that will allow you to travel to a place for your highest good. This is the place that some music wants you to get to, but why? Because you're suggestible. And so if you're suggestible and I could basically tell you anything, just be like, okay, then I'm going to tell you to go buy Nikes and Jordans and Louis Vuitton purses because they're cute, and Birkin bags because you're in a suggestible state, and you're relaxed, you're calm, you're chill, you're driving in your car and you're on autopilot. Or you're just chilling, just relaxing at a party and you're faded, so your ego's kind of already gone. You're suggestible. And of course, people with a lot of money, like major companies, know this. And so that is the place that they want to get you in, a relaxed, kind of sedated state where they can suggest whatever to you and you'll be like, more like, yeah, that makes sense. Instead of being like, I don't agree with that. That's not what I want to do. And how can this be beneficial for healing? Because in that state, you're more susceptible to being healed as well. Just like you can be influenced to purchase something, you can be influenced to allow your body to relax enough to where you are free to just be free to allow your chakras to balance, free to enjoy the peacefulness of it all, and allow your body a break to refresh and heal and focus all its energy on where healing is most needed within your body. Okay, so now we are at the stage right before you begin to have the ability to astral project or heal on a deeper level, on a cellular level. And then that is the delta realm. So on each of these levels, there's a certain frequency or hertz of sound that activates you to be in that state. So let's say a song has different pulsing sound waves, and it gets you into this alpha state, which is that relaxed, susceptible state, and you're just chilling and you're vibing and you don't really understand like why you're just so relaxed or why you love this song, but it gets you in that mode. And then you have something, if you're in the delta phase, then you are now like deep sleep, like you're knocked out. And then there's the lambda and the epsilon. So in these states, you begin to interdimensional travel. So the theta state is the astral travel plane, and then the deep sleep is when you are completely just resting, like completely just out. That's usually when you're just like it's kind of just darkness. There's nothing. You're not seeing anything. You're not experiencing anything. You're not thinking anything. You're just completely at rest. So we have a few different ways to get to these different places. So the astral realm, where we're in a relaxed place and we're not only suggestible, but we are able to either travel outside of our body or project our body to other places. The hertz for that is anything between 4 and 8. So 4 and 8 hertz gets us in that realm. And then the deep sleep realm is 0.5. So 0.5 is the hertz that allows us to be in that state. And so some people have to go to sleep with TV on because it helps them relax and helps them get into that sound. That sound is helping them get to a place where they can calm down and get into deep sleep. And the epsilon is the frequency of anything over 100. So this is where sound therapy comes into play, because all of the sound bowls that will be played for therapeutic purposes all work in that realm, the interdimensional realm. They're dealing with the higher realm where our highest self resides. So our highest self is bringing that energy into the present so that it can bring into balance our body for our highest good, not for our mediocre good or for temporary good, but for our highest good. It is creating that balance within our body. So there are a couple ways that the sounds can come in. So we could have a binaural, which if you do like a search on YouTube, you'll see all these different binaural beats, which just means that there are two different frequencies coming into your ear at one time, because when it was tested and studied and proved scientifically, they would use I believe it was a frequency of 4 and a frequency of 9, or a frequency of 5, something that created the frequency within the ears to allow you to astral plane. Now, you can do monochromatic or monual beats, where it's just one tone that is going at a different pattern. Like it speeds up and slows down, 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 but your brain more readily accepts it. The most effective is the isomatic or isomonic. Yes, the isomonic type of beat, which is the most effective to astral plane and get to a place of relaxation and peace. And that is just using a faster same tone, so it's going in both ears, but it's faster, so it's not like a different wavelength where it's going and it's slowing down, going. It's just like constant speed, and it gets you there. You're chilling, you're doing what you want to do, and fulfilling your purpose. So that's just a little tidbit on how sound can amplify your brain activity to the point of awareness or numbness. So you have a choice what you listen to and what you entertain. An example would be, you listen to R&B all day long and you have like this crazy longing for love. Or you have a husband or wife and you listen to R&B all day and you just can't wait to get home and do your husband or your wife or whatever, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, your partner. And you wonder, like, why all of a sudden am I so heightened in this area? Why do I just want to do it all the time? This is weird. But when you're listening to this music, you're in this susceptible mode that basically is programming you to think a certain way. Another great example would be the dating world of today. If everyone's listening to the same lyrics and they're all preaching kind of the same stuff, everybody's gonna have the same sneaky link, push and pee, like idea of life versus any kind of thoughts that are of their own, own creation or making. If you listen to beats that don't have words, see how that makes you feel for a couple days. How do you really feel without any other, influence or suggestion on top of the music? It's a good way to kind of fast from your surroundings and really understand how deeply we are affected by what we listen to, what we say, what we think, and how that affects our day-to-day, But for the purpose of sound therapy, which is using like sound bowls or the isomonic beats or the binaural beats, you have to really understand what they're doing to your body and why they are so beneficial or catastrophic. So sound bowls operate at frequencies from 4 to 900 HCs or hertz, and they allow us to get into a different dimension, which allows us the ability to again contact our higher self and do what is best for our higher self, and not just what feels good in the now. So by some music operating at alpha state, which is just 8 to 12 hertz, it's not nearly as effective or detrimental as song or something that is operating in the 900s. Now, if the song is operating in that kind of frequency, then it will be much more potent, just as like if it was like a stronger proof of alcohol. Like a 10 proof is not going to be anywhere near as strong as 100 proof. You know what I mean? So it's good to have an understanding of what you're listening to and its frequencies and what it's operating off. And then also considering, do you want to entertain this? Do you want to think like this? I mean, the song sounds good, but oftentimes we're just like, oh, it's just a song. I'm fine. I'm not really a thug out here shooting people. And then someone cuts you off in traffic and you really want to shoot them. You gotta really think, like, is the way that this person is talking, do I want to live my life in this way? Do I want to attract this or bring this into my life? Maybe not, it's hard sometimes because you're at stores and the songs are on. It's not like you can walk around with earmuffs. However, it's just good to be conscious of the undoing that we can do every day so that we are in control of our expression and our experience. If we start our day with a clean slate and we start our day with positive energy and frequency, and we end our day with positive energy and frequency, we can combat some of our encounters with music or energy or frequencies that we really don't want to feel or accept in our lives. And that's the power of therapy and sound. We make a practice of balancing the energy that we get knowingly and unknowingly, so by using the epsilon dimension, the epsilon frequency to be in a multidimensional state, we allow ourselves to really just genuinely do what is best versus having any suggestion or outside influence. It is really just between us and our guides, us in the universe, and that energy of repairing and correcting. There are centers in New York that heal cancer. They have 100% success rate using sound therapy customized for that person's need to heal. Meaning that if they need 692.5 hertz of sound to correct, then that is what their body is getting. And it's balancing and it's lining up and it's fixing any and everything within that person's body to the point where the cancer is removed. And it is no longer evident or present in their life, which is dope. It's a dope idea that sound has the ability to do this. Sound has the ability to correct and restore and damage. There is a show, I don't remember the name, but one of the killers, I think it was some kind of killer show. Anyway, the killer in the show was using sound to kill by placing people within a water chamber and placing speakers around it. They had the ability to turn the frequency up so high that it burst their blood vessels and heart from the inside out. Outside it looked perfectly fine, but inside their body was jacked up and they died. And that was their tool and method of torture to torture people. But that's how powerful sound is, and it's not to be played with. It's not to be played with at all. So we have the ability to use that to our advantage. We definitely have the ability to reset ourselves and keep ourselves in perfect peace and perfect balance. So I do that with sound bowls. I use Tibetan, I use quartz-based. Again, using those living stones to produce energy that's healing and therapeutic to us and create balance within our bodies. And these are all things that are free to us in the earth. They're given to us in abundance. So if they're given to us in abundance, I think maybe there's a reason, possibly, that we're surrounded by so much of this. And when we're around it, we just feel so at peace. It's one when you go and you connect with nature, how it feels, how it restores and regenerates, and we take that time and we feel like a brand new person. Why is that? I wonder. But anywho, So I encourage you and admonish you to, research sound therapy on your own. You don't have to take my word for it. Look it up and figure it out for yourself so that you can make a wise decision on if this is something that you want to delve into, use, practice on yourself, or stay away from. It's good to know not everything is for everyone. And if it doesn't resonate with you, or if it's not something that you feel you want to try or experience, then don't. However, if you do, the experience of sound therapy is one that I would admonish you to experience. So if you would like to experience that, please head over to my Instagram for Supernova Body, and there you will be able to just listen to free sound bath sessions. They last for about 10 minutes, and you can start your day and end your day with them and go about your life. But you can experience it without any expense and any cost to you. And as always, I'm going to end this episode with blessings of light, peace, and love, and I hope that you tune in again. Alrighty, bye-bye.